So where are we with this project? We've got everything's built, we've got the house wrap on, and we've got the windows installed. So the next step is the exterior trim. And the first step in doing the exterior trim is figuring out what material to use. I decided to use cedar for the windows, but for all the areas where the trim's going to be close to the ground, I'm going to use something else. And in order to decide which product to use, I looked at three different things. I looked at PVC, and I looked at fiber cement, and I looked at Boral TruExterior. And I looked at basically 4 or 5 different factors. The first was stability, how much it expands and contracts. The second was paintability, how well it holds paint, which is related to the first one. Also, how waterproof it is, since it's going to be near the ground, and how expensive it is, and how available it is. And they're all pretty well available. I ended up going with Boral, and it's probably the least well known of the three. It is similar to fiber cement, except instead of cement, they use something called fly ash, which is the byproduct of burning coal. So it's actually a recycled product, so that's a nice benefit. It's using something that would otherwise be a waste product. And it's got some advantages over fiber cement and PVC, and also some disadvantages. So it's all a trade-off. But the advantages of Boral above fiber cement is basically it's waterproof. Fiber cement will soak up water. Boral doesn't. They're very similar in how tough they are. They're both a little soft, a little brittle, so they're similar in that respect. I think Boral is more workable than fiber cement. Here's a good example. These are 2 pieces that are attached end to end with pocket screws. Maybe you could do that with fiber cement, I don't know, but Boral works very much like wood. You can even route it. I know you can't do that with fiber cement. Compared to PVC, basically it's much more stable. PVC expands and contracts a lot, so you have to leave pretty big gaps between the joints. And you hear stories about it being installed in Minnesota, and it moves like an inch in the wintertime. I don't know if it's really that extreme. It's also not as paintable. You can paint it, but I don't think it takes paint as well as either fiber cement or Boral. Cost-wise, Boral is the most expensive, so that's a negative, but I decided the advantages made it worth it. So that's what I went with. Here's some pieces to give you an idea what it's like. It's pretty heavy, kind of like fiber cement. I don't think it's quite as heavy, but pretty heavy. And it's pretty tough. You can do this stuff all day and it's not going to break. So it's probably a little tougher than fiber cement. Really long pieces are very flexy like fiber cement, so you do have to be careful moving it around, unlike wood or PVC. And it's kind of soft, so while it's quite strong, if you hit it with your lawnmower, it would probably put a ding in it because it's a little soft. But that's true with wood too, so there is that. So it's not as tough as PVC, but it's completely waterproof, and you don't even have to prime the joints if you don't want to. And it works like wood. So I think it's a pretty good product. It's kind of, for me anyway, it's kind of the best of both worlds. So what we're using it for is anything that's near the ground, which is the skirts and the corner boards. So I bought, and it's all 5/4, so we're using full 1-inch thick 5/4 material, mainly just for the look. Didn't have to do that, but I like the extra dimension of the thicker material, the bigger shadow lines, I guess they call it. And I bought 5/4 by 8 for the skirt boards, and the corner boards are a combination of 5/4 by 6 and 5/4 by 4. I wanted them to be even on both sides, so I actually ripped the 5/4 by 6 down to 4.5 inches, so that when you put the 1x4 up against the edge of the 5/4, you have a total of 4.5 inches, so it's an even 4.5 inches on both sides. For the skirts, it's not actually skirt board, which they sell, but it's kind of hard to find. So I kind of made my own skirt board. It's just a 1x8, a 5/4 by 8, and I just ripped one edge of it on a bevel. It's like a 20-degree bevel, and so the siding will sit on that, and with the starter strip for the siding, it will overlap and hang below that top edge a little bit, and the water will run off. So that's what I'm using for the skirt board. As far as attaching it goes, I am using a combination of screws and nails. I wanted to use some screws just for the holding power, but they're more expensive, a lot more time and effort to install them and patch the holes. So I'm using probably like 1/4 of the fasteners are screws and the rest are nails. So I'm using these 2.5-inch GRK exterior trim screws. They have a nice small head. They sink in as deep as you want. I'm like sinking them in about 1/8 of an inch and then patching them. Nails I'm using are Boral 15 gauge finish nails, galvanized. And I'm putting the nails in with this new nail gun. This is actually my first nail gun that I've ever used. It is the Gen 2 Milwaukee that just came out last fall around Christmas time, and I really like it. Highly recommend it. It's making the job really easy. It's got a nice adjustable depth gauge on it, so easy to dial that in and get the finished nails just like a 1/16 of an inch below the surface, and then makes it easy to patch. Haven't had a single misfire. It's been great. Great gun. So those are the fasteners we're using. The corner boards, I'm making these up. I'm actually building these up before I install them. And the tricky part with that was I've got some pretty complicated geometries going on up top there with fitting the corner boards around that rafter tail. So I actually made a little mock-up before I did that, just to get all of that right, and then it was perfect when I installed it. Everything is, all of this stuff is pre-primed, but I'm priming the cuts before I install it. Like I said, they say you don't have to do that, but I'm doing it anyway because it might sit out in the sun and the rain for a while. And then I'm caulking the joints. I did a little research. I found this stuff. I got it on Amazon. Tower Tech caulk. It is their acrylic urethane sealant. It's supposed to be really good so far. Seems like it. It's real paintable too. And then last thing, once everything's installed, is to fill the holes. And I bought like 5 different wood fillers and tried them all. This is the one I like the best. This was recommended on Amazon by somebody. Thank you, whoever you are. It's really nice. I like it. It dries fast. It seems really tough, easy to use. So that's the wood filler I went with. So here's the skirt board installed. That's a joint right there that's been filled and sanded, so that should disappear once it's painted. and you can see little patch holes in various places. So there's a hole where a screw went in. You can see that's quite a bit bigger as opposed to this hole here where a finish nail went in. There's a screw there. So that's how it's looking. See, it's a nice clean look. Really makes the house look more finished. For the inside corners, I just ripped a 1x1 piece of trim. So that's what's on the inside corners, and that'll be painted the same color as the siding, so that'll just disappear and the siding will butt up against that. So that's where we are. Got a little more skirt board around the porch, and then back to the window trim, so I'll do a video on that next. See you later.